Hello, and welcome to the More Than Muscle podcast, presented to you by your coach and overall favorite person, me, Trainer Greg McBride. I'm super excited that you are tuned in today, and you can stay tuned in by subscribing to this podcast. In the More Than Muscle podcast, we will cover the skills, habits, and practices needed to be successful. Going beyond just the physical, we will talk about how to be the best version of yourself, all while looking through the lens of health and fitness. Thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. Hello, and welcome back, you guys. This is episode 21 of the More Than Muscle podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about how to break through plateaus. This is going to cover some of the most common questions and one of the most common themes that I get brought to me is asked in a lot of different ways. Most times people don't even understand what they're really asking, but everyone wants to know how do I lose weight? What should I be doing for this or that? Why am I not getting the results that I desire? I'm putting in the work. I've been eating right. I've been exercising. I was seeing some results, but all of a sudden it stopped. What do I need to do? So this is something that is brought to me a lot from friends and past clients and just people in passing when they find out that I'm a coach and trainer. So I want to talk to you guys how to really take ownership and take control over that situation, because hitting plateaus is a part of the game. It's going to happen no matter how hard you work, how much effort you put forth. Eventually you will plateau. If you don't, then your body's not doing what it's supposed to do, which is adapt and change. So as your body starts to adapt to these new stressors, this new stimulus that you put onto it, whether it's coming from your training or is it coming from your nutritional standpoint, your body should be adapting and changing. And if your stimulus doesn't change along with the change that your body's making, you will reach a plateau. So knowing how and when to make certain changes is very important. And we're going to cover some of those points today. First, what does it really mean to hit a plateau? I kind of just talked about that. So now that we understand that a little bit more, when you hit that plateau, what should you do? First, you need to assess your situation. Second, you need to make sure you're asking specific questions. Third, you need to figure out, okay, I've seen what I've been doing, and this is what I want to dive into more. Now, making a plan to go forward and then implementing that plan. So let's just start with assessing your situation, assessing your program. So in this process, the first thing we need to know is, are you tracking? What do you track? And are you doing it well and consistently? Tracking your training. Are you writing down what exercises you're doing, the order that you're doing them in, your sets, your reps, your rest, whatever special modifications you may be making, whether you have certain techniques that you're implementing, tempo, drop sets, supersets, and things like that. You need to make sure that you're recording all this information, and then you can actually assess it properly. Same thing with nutrition. Are you tracking the food that you're eating? Are you tracking everything? The water, your supplements, anything that goes into your body that you ingest and digest. Tracking that is going to help you make an accurate assessment so you can make the appropriate changes to continue to see growth and make gains. So if you're not tracking both of those, that's your first start. That's the first thing you need to do is track. There's a lot of different methods, but if you have no means, I'm not saying you have to count every calorie, do X, Y, Z. You have to have some sort of measured, some quantitative information. Because if you're trying to do everything, I feel this way or I feel that way, emotionally you can change depending on all types of factors. So we need to have some quantitative data. We want to have numbers, something that is definite, defined, that's going to be consistent and accurate throughout the whole process. So after you assess your nutrition, assess your training, there is another component that I'm going to talk about that's very important, that kind of connects these two realms of nutrition and training. And that's kind of the health and wellness. And it has to do a lot with the response your body has to these two areas, and it's like your hormones and your response to those things. There's a big debate back and forth now with all of trainers, coaches, nutritionists, a lot of people in the health and wellness profession on, is it more or less the things you put into you, like input, output, macros, energy in, energy out, or is it more in the realm of hormones and how they drive certain responses? Now, they do play into each other, and I'm not going to go too far into which camp that you should try to land in, because it's going to be a little bit of both, but we're going to see that kind of ties both of these together. And the first one we're going to talk about is how you ask those specific questions. And so if you're asking specific questions, first you need to start with one thing that covers both areas, and that's going to be your sleep, your rest, and your recovery. Do you even understand how to look into that? Are you tracking any of these things? Because if you're not getting the proper sleep, rest, and recovery, then you're not going to be able to do well in either one of those areas. Your body is going to stop you. Your body's not going to allow you to get the most out of your nutrition, to get the most out of your training. If you're not getting adequate sleep, rest, and recovery, everything gets thrown off whack. So that's the first thing. Now, understand too that everyone's different. It's not going to be the same. Hey, 8 hours of sleep, do yoga twice a week. It's not the same for everyone. So there's always this scientific method that you need to implement where you have your hypothesis, you need to test it. So I've been doing well with 5 hours of sleep. Maybe if I get another hour, let's see what happens. If I do 2 hours, maybe I'm getting 10 hours of sleep. Maybe I need to take back one and see what happens. There is a process to it. Unless you have someone there to guide you that's had some experience that can say, hey, I suggest this for you based upon my experience and things that I've seen in the past. You just have to take the time and go through it yourself. So the stress, rest, and recovery is going to be important. So after you assess that and you have those minimums met, the requirement, and you're doing well in that area, then you can go to the next step. But until then, you're not ready. You're going to stay in that plateau. No matter what you do in the other areas, you're not going to be able to get out of that plateau unless you take care of that first. So next, I call it like the integrity and accuracy. I always tell people you have to have integrity with yourself. No one else is going to really hold you to it. So if you say that you're doing something and you're not doing it, you're just holding yourself back. So make sure you're actually doing the things that you say you're doing. And that accuracy, you need to have a consistent method. Otherwise, again, you're not going to be able to see real change. You're not going to be able to quantify what you're doing. And if you can't quantify it, you're not going to see it. You're going to stay in that plateau. So it doesn't matter what brand of protein you have, what pre-workout, or what style of fad diet you may ascribe to. You need to make sure that you're consistent and you have integrity. Consistency, accuracy, and integrity throughout the whole thing. So some of those specific questions that you can ask yourself. Let's look at nutrition. Am I meeting all of my requirements that I have laid out for my specific plan? Am I eating all of my meals? Are they on point with what I say? Am I getting enough vegetables? Am I getting the proper amount of protein to support my nutrition, my goals? Those are some of those specific questions. If you go into the health relationship with food, am I enjoying this food? Am I enjoying what I'm doing? Is it working for me? Am I able to season my food? I love to make sure that my food tastes good. There's times where I don't care, but if that's something that's important to you, it has to all flow. The lifestyle, the habits, the goals, it all has to come together. So you need to make sure that you're asking these specific questions, because if it doesn't work for you, then it's not going to work ever. You can't just say, this is a plan that's worked for this man here. I've seen the gym and he told me to try it. That's great for him. Great. His plan is awesome. He's getting the results. That doesn't mean you're going to get the same results. So you need to find what's going to work for you. Next is being able to put together a plan. So what is your plan? This is where I think it gets difficult. If you don't have the knowledge base and information experience, you have a lot out there. You can easily Google something and find all types of information. And it can be pretty counterproductive, because some things will say, hey, this is the way to go. And you can go to the very next search and find the exact opposite saying this is the way to go. So this is where it's important to have some guidance. Have a specific person that's reputable, whether it be a friend or someone in the fitness industry or a very well recognized and respected fitness professional that you can follow through the internet, because there is tons and tons and tons of information, tons of good information and tons of bad information. And if you don't know the good from the bad, you will be lost spinning your wheels throughout the whole process. So you're trying to break this plateau. You've assessed your process, your program. You're asking specific questions because you need to answer specific questions. So once you've done that again, then you can start to make a plan. Now, when you're making your plan, if you want to break a plateau and you want to do it correctly, you need to answer a single question. This is another issue that comes up. You try to do too many things at one time, you will not know what's happening. So if you're trying to, let's say, lose weight and you want to cut calories, increase cardio, you want to change the way that you're eating, you want to add 5 different supplements at one time, you won't know what actually made that change. So when you hit your next plateau, then what are you going to do? You have no idea. You're just going to start throwing everything at it again. So understanding that there is a specific method you need to apply to this, and it's not do everything you can, it's do what you should. And that's why it's so important to have that knowledge and have that step-by-step approach. Yes, it takes time. And if you think that it's not going to take time, you're sadly mistaken. You can speed up the process for the experience, either by yourself after you have enough experience. Yes, you can do it a little bit better. Or someone else who's had that experience. Again, that's why there's coaches out there. That's why you pay someone to give you a fast track to your results. Not saying the track is going to be super fast. You may still take time because that's the way our bodies work. But to overcome plateaus, you need to look at what you're doing, have integrity, be consistent, and you need to have a plan that's going to work for you, a plan that you can stick to. First, making sure that you have everything in line with your sleep, rest, and recovery. And then what's going to be more important for your goal? Is it going to be the training side or is it going to be the nutrition side? Stick to one first. Ask the specific questions. Do I have a program? Am I following it? Am I accurate? Am I tracking? Do I actually do all the reps that I say I'm doing? Am I following my rest protocol? Am I eating all of my vegetables? Do I record my food the way I should? Am I eating all of my protein, getting the fats and carbs that I need? Am I having my meal laid out the way it should if you're not counting macros? All those things matter. So once you can have all that together, then you can go again, attack the plan that you've made and see if that's going to allow you to get the new results. And if not, you go back again. This is the process. It's a cyclical thing. You assess it, implement the new plan once you've found the right questions to answer, see the results, and do it again and again and again and again. Yes, there's a good window, a time frame when you know there should be some change, and you will find that for yourself after a while. But until then, it's all right. This is what we're going to do, and it's okay. See the plateau, and then you can know what to do. Assess, ask the right questions, create a plan, implement it. That's what I have for you guys today. Again, I am trainer Greg McBride. This is what I do. If you have questions, if you want to talk to me a little bit more about your plateaus that you're experiencing, I can tell you how to go through and ask the correct questions. I can help walk you through the process. And again, this is what I do. So if you have a plateau that you've been struggling with for a while and you want to get past it, talk to your man here, trainer Greg McBride. You could email me at trainergregmcbride@gmail.com or find me at any of my social media outlets. Thank you guys. And until next time, be more than muscle, y'all. This has been another episode of the More Than Muscle podcast. Thank you again for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. I also hope that you found something that you can take away and apply immediately to your life. I am your host, trainer Greg McBride. And until next time, train with purpose and be more